Hey, welcome back. Well, tonight I thought I would share a fascinating aspect of amateur radio, and that is collecting QSL cards. Now, what is a QSL card? It basically is a confirmation of a successful contact, or QSO, between two amateur radio operators. My first card that I got was from K2FR, a fellow ham, very active in his area and interested in an aspect of amateur radio called SOTA, or Summits on the Air. He lives in New York, and I've gotten a good friendship going with him via YouTube, and I consider him one of my cyber Elmers. He sent me a card, and I actually had a QSO with him, but it was through APRS, and I sent a text message through him on my Yaesu VX8R, and that was very exciting. But he sent this to me mainly as a good friend, saying, "Welcome to the hobby." The other two cards that I've received so far are cards confirming my contacts with the International Space Station, Colonel Doug Wheelock, or Astro Wheels, operating November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra on the International Space Station. Now let me tell you, the first time you get these in the mail, it's really exciting. Now they're typically postage card sized cards, and you can get collector sleeves and store them in a notebook if you want. There are some larger cards that are commemorative cards for special events, but in general they're going to be about this size. Now, I'm getting ready to send out a batch of cards that I promised about a week ago, and I will name off a couple of these hams. One of them is Andy in southwest Germany, Delta Oscar 8, Alpha Bravo Sierra. The other is Scott in eastern Canada, Victor Echo 9, Sierra Delta Hotel. There's John, who operates an awesome linked repeater system in my area, the AB7F repeater that has access to Echolink, and his call sign is AB7F. So thank you, John. Also David, KF7MLE, Ryan, KF7JSM, and I actually met Ryan at a local Hamfest ham show, and it was great to shake his hand. Also know him from YouTube. And Michael, AE7JE. So I'm sending these out in the mail tomorrow, but I thought as I was getting them ready to go, why not do a quick little video and show the fascinating aspect of amateur radio, and that is collecting QSL cards. Okay, well, I'm just going to get this last envelope stuffed, and this is the envelope going to Andy, or DO8 ABS in southern Germany. And I'm sending him one of my QSL cards, and Andy knows me from YouTube, so I thought this was a good card to send him. It confirms my contact with Andy on the Echolink via AB7F repeater while I was driving up to Seattle from Portland. And I just gave him a little note saying thanks for keeping me company on a rainy day driving. I'm also sending him one of my YouTube business cards that has my YouTube channels and my contact information. And I just want to thank him for an awesome contact. We had a great time talking, about 30 minutes via Echolink. I was RF on my radio and he was using his computer. So I'll just seal that up. And I like to take one of these little envelope seals that I made that has a little extra information from YouTube and put that on there just as a little special touch. And these are going off in the mail tomorrow, so got that off my plate. Now let's just talk about QSL cards. Here's a printout of the QSL card from November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, the International Space Station. And here's what they look like when you get them for real, and they list all your contacts on the back. So that's very exciting. This is a close-up of the first one I received from K2FR, Andrew, who lives in New York, and he's just awesome. I'll put a link down below on the YouTube notes, but definitely somebody that I follow closely. And I also follow him on APRS, and we'll do a video on that later. So I made some of my own QSL cards. I think that's a pretty common practice. You can also order them online from specialty printers, but they're very easy to make, and I thought I would go over my particular card and then how I made them. So I basically at this point have two cards. When I run out of them, I'll probably make up another card. But on the front, it has my call sign and then some graphic image that represents you. This one kind of talks about the fact that I'm on YouTube, and most guys follow me on USNERDoc. And this is one that showcases a picture that my daughter took while I was talking on the radio one day. On the back of the cards, there's a spot for me to make a personal note, and then a little bar where I can confirm contacts. So KF7ETX, confirming QSO with, and you put the person's call sign in there. You write down the day, the month, the year, and the time. And remember, everything in amateur radio is done on UTC time. If you don't know the UTC time, jot down the local time and just note that it's local. You indicate the band, the mode, signal strength, and in this case I have two radios that I use, so I'll checkbox off either one depending upon the contact, and then on the bottom is some contact information for them. Now, one thing that I like to do with some of these when I put them in my envelope is I'll put one of my YouTube business cards that has my contact information just as a little collector thing. Now, all of this will fit into a standard envelope and go at standard price for postage. But if you're going to exchange a QSL card, you want to have an envelope that you can stuff in there. And I got these at Office Depot, and they're basically small catalog envelopes. I've already put my return address on there and postage for US. If you're going to be exchanging outside the US, you have to do different postage, and we can talk about that in a future video. But the typical thing would be the envelope, QSL card, one of my little business cards, seal that up, and then I like to just put a personal closure on the back, and that is an envelope seal that I made that just talks about my YouTube channel, Northwest Adventure USNERDoc on YouTube. Now I keep all of this in a plastic bag. I keep my return address that I printed out on a labeler in the bag. I also keep postage. That way if I'm traveling and I want to get caught up, I can do this pretty easily. Additionally, in the bag I've got a set of catalog envelopes for return of QSL cards, and then the original mailing envelope. All of that fits in here pretty easily and can go in my briefcase, and that way I can take this on the road with me and stay up to date whenever I get the chance. And all of this fits in one little sandwich bag, so pretty easy for right now. Let's talk about making your own QSL card. And I did these on Microsoft Word. They're pretty easy to make. And basically I took a QSL card, but you can look on the internet and just type in the size and get the size. I made a grid square and basically made my graphic. I then put cut lines on the corners and then made the grid square disappear. I took that as one unit, lined it up with a second one, grouped them together, and then centered the whole thing on a page. I then made another copy of that document, removed the graphic, and put my contact graphic on the back. And I like to put the American flag, just for patriotism, and then the QSO data bar with all the places where you can enter information. Now the one with the picture was a little bit different because in order for this to cut right and look good, I can only print them one up on a card, and I let the graphic run wider than the cut lines, and that's how you get a nice out to the edge borderless QSL card. Now I had the privilege of watching a good buddy of mine, Pat, KF7LYB, make his very first radio contact, And he was very fortunate that his first radio contact in QSO was with the International Space Station. And I honored him by making a QSL card that he could send in and get his return QSL card from the International Space Station. And Pat's card, again, was a photographic, and I, again, let that photo run wider than the cut lines so that when you cut it, you end up with a nice borderless QSL card. And I think Pat's having a lot of fun with amateur radio, and I haven't heard if he got a card yet from the International Space Station, but we'll definitely check in with him on that. So anyway, there are the two QSL cards that I use currently, and they're pretty easy to do. I have saved these as PDF documents. They're on a thumb drive, and I can go into any Kinko's and print them and then have them cut. And I typically make a batch of about 20 or 25. Pretty cheap, pretty easy to do. You can change them as you want and reflect the special event. All right, guys, thanks for dropping back into my shack. This is KF7ETX. Clear until our next QSO.